to you. All right, well, welcome students from Grays Lake, North and Central.
Thank you.
De- Depending on when you are watching this, good morning, good evening, or good afternoon. My name is DeVone Eurales, one of the admission counselors here. I'm joined with a student, and I'll let her introduce herself.
Hi, I'm Elizabeth Reyes Guzman. I'm from Park City, Illinois, so it's close to your guys' high school. And I am a political science and economics major, and I'm involved in various clubs on campus, which maybe I'll touch upon, but overview, I'm in Student Senate, Lo Nuestro Pre-Law Club, and Mecha, which are some cultural organizations within campus.
Excellent, excellent. Welcome. I just wanted to make sure that you guys were still seeing my screen. So hopefully you're still seeing my screen.
Yes.
Absolutely. Excellent. All righty. So as we start, again, this is us, a little bit about me. I grew up in Southern Illinois. I've been working at Knox since 2008. So this is my 13th year. I've recruited on both coasts internationally. My role here is as the director of admission just means that I work with students more indirectly than directly. I oversee the application review process. So if you have questions, concerns, thoughts, you see my email is on the screen, deurales@Knox. So you can give me a shout at any point to help you throughout that admission process. I also am your admission counselor. So even though I only have literally about 15 schools, I wouldn't do this job if I didn't have the ability to still engage with school counselors and students, because that's really the reason why I'm in this profession, because I love the students. So let's jump right in. It says, who are we? It says our mission in 3 separate formats. We're only going to cover one format, and that's our mission statement. So it says we're a community of individuals from diverse backgrounds, challenging each other to explore, improve ourselves, and explore, improve, and understand ourselves, our society, and our world. So Liz, I'm going to start with you today. And our counselor as well. How do you pronounce your last name?
Marcourt?
Miss Marcourt.
Right. I think it shows Mercure, but I've been married since I created this account.
So Marcourt?
Marcourt.
Miss Marcourt. So when you see the phrase, I know for students that are watching, you play along too, a community of individuals from diverse backgrounds. Miss Marcourt, what do you think about when you see the phrase individuals from diverse backgrounds? What comes to mind?
Different races, ethnicities, religions, sexual orientation, gender.
Liz, what about you? Anything that you think of that she hasn't mentioned already?
Some experiences maybe, because everyone comes from different walks of life. So yeah, that's what I would add too.
Absolutely. So this aspect of diversity, it says a community of individuals from diverse backgrounds. And then this next piece, challenging. So diversity is more than just what we look like, how we sound, where we're from. It's lots of different things. Liz, you talked about the walks of life, the backgrounds. What about opinions, perspectives, simple things, what music you listen to? I mean, all these types of things are diversity. And so at Knox, when we talk about the true fabric of who we are, the type of experience that our school is, not only is it diverse, but we're also inclusive. So inclusive, it doesn't, for us, in addition to your race, to your gender, or your language, or where you were born, that's just a small piece of who you are, because you may say, well, I'm actually interested in cellular biology, or I'm really gung-ho about theater, or I want to go into business or be a psychologist. Those are all aspects of who you are, in addition to some of the things that make you diverse when it comes to how you consider yourself. Liz, when you first got to Knox, I mean, what stood out to you? I mean, again, I guess tell us where you went to high school.
So I went to Warren, which is obviously close, and obviously it's very diverse, but although it is diverse, it's very big. And what struck me about Knox, it's very small. About 2,000 people graduated in my class of 2018, and like here at Knox, obviously it's gonna be way smaller. And with that, it comes with knowing people and getting to know them by face, even by name. So it's very tight knit, and you get to meet people more, I guess, in a comfortable setting and more genuine, I would say, because obviously it's just you guys. So yeah, that's the
I,
big difference I got.
I think in bigger schools like Warren, there's a lot of diversity, but the groups tend to stick together,
Yes.
right? So
Yeah.
you'll have the theater students and the jocks, and then you'll have the Latin club students, and yeah. And when you go to Knox, you're mushed together.
Yeah, especially within when you obviously move into your dorms and your suites. Obviously, you don't get to hand pick everyone who you want to like live with. You usually have like a preference, but you know they really challenge you and try to open your eyes up to different people. So yeah, like you were saying, I noticed that like going off from high school, you know, I thought it'd be very cliquey. There'd be certain groups with other people, but no, you know, some people share common interests. Yet they come from different backgrounds, obviously different, you know, places, but yeah, even the littlest interests kind of, you know, bring people together. So yeah.
Absolutely. Thank you, Liz. So you'll see these facts about who we are. I'm only going to mention these very quickly. Again, you'll see we're founded by abolitionists, people that felt that slavery was wrong. You'll see we're the first school in Illinois to admit women, and it says people of color. But also we're the first school to admit people regardless of finances. And so again, we were founded on the basis of access and equality. So it didn't matter how much money you had, didn't matter what your last name was. If you wanted to be educated, Knox was open. So education is a right, it's not a privilege. And so no matter where you are on the social platform or the social, now I'm losing my words today, on the social scale, doesn't matter where you are, do you fit? The answer is yes. So who are we? And then I'm going to let Liz speak a little bit more on this too. You'll see smaller institution, 1,200 students. You'll see the state breakdown as well as the countries. Now, even though we're in Galesburg, Illinois, which is about 2 hours or 5-minute drive from where you all are listening today, again, it's a small town of about 33,000 people. But again, you'll see the states, 45 states, 49 countries, a lot of people here. And then you'll see the 32% students of color, as well as the 19% international students. So you'll see roughly half the campus is a person of color or an international student. So back to Liz. Liz, what's your experience like on campus? So this slide says who we are, but I'm going to ask you, from your perspective, what's Knox feel like? So again, I'm going to stop the slideshow so we can see you a bit bigger. So what's Knox feel like? And I'll put the slideshow back afterwards.
You know, it's very comforting, like I mentioned, coming from like a bigger school. It was nice to kind of get pulled away and meet people in a more tighter community. And obviously, like on the slide, there's more obviously an outreach of students that come from different countries and different states. And obviously there's a lot of different races. So when I went in, I was able to meet people that obviously don't come from my background or don't come or aren't like particularly Hispanic like myself, and obviously don't come from my hometown. So it was very nice to meet people who, you know, would talk about how their life was back home or, you know, what their upbringing was like. And obviously, you know, it's opened my eyes a lot to like being more involved within clubs at school, especially like the cultural clubs, because there's a club for each different type of culture or race. And, you know, I appreciate how passionate the students are. And it's opened my eyes to, you know, it's not just my bubble of people that I know, but other people that I still have yet to meet. So it's very, very eye-opening, but also, you know, I'm ambitious to like dip my foot into places. So yeah.
Cool.
Absolutely. So when you first got here, was there something that you were nervous about or when you got here, what made you excited to stay?
So I feel like for me, I was very nervous to like be myself. I didn't, you know, obviously I knew I was going into a community where, you know, people were going to meet me and obviously they were going to recognize my face. So I was scared to be a little bit more authentic. But, you know, as time grew on, I was able to, you know, open myself up to more people. Everyone's very understanding, very compassionate. And, you know, everyone's eager to learn about other people. And so that's what I wanted to stick with, especially being at Knox. All the teachers, even the teachers, they want to get to know you on a first name basis and get to know you outside of the classroom and outside of schoolwork. So.
Yes, Ms. Marcourt.
So did you choose Knox because of the diversity? Or did you choose Knox because it had what you want in an education?
Both, actually. So I had a friend who actually went, and she kind of introduced me to it, and she explained to me, obviously, the student involvement, but also the class involvement. Obviously, there's, a smaller class side with, like, obviously a teacher, and, I felt that was more comforting knowing that I'm not in a bigger lecture hall, where probably the teacher probably won't get to know my name or won't have time to meet with me individually. So, the education is very spot on for me because I get to, work directly with my teacher
Mhm.
and not fear that I don't, feel as important or, as motivated as others to learn. So,
Mhm. It's a big fish in a small pond.
yes.
When
Mm.
when you for you, Liz, and then I'll jump back into the slides. What was the toughest transition for you? I mean, I guess that's one question. Then can you talk about your preparedness? Coming from from Warren, from the northwest suburbs to Knox. What was that academic experience like?
So I would say it was a shift because obviously, like I said, I kind of was scared to be more open and kind of let myself, you know, explore like myself within the campus. And I mean, from going from my high school experience, I felt like I was just a regular student just trying to pass the class rather than actually trying to be involved in the class. So, I found myself within my high school classes being like, just doing the work to do the work. And, but over at Knox, my teachers actually kind of pushed me and they're, kind of motivating like me to be involved in my schoolwork. They understood if I had problems within my class, like class assignments, or I had like a rough schedule, they would kind of cater to my needs.
Mhm.
Whereas in high school, obviously we have an 8-period class schedule. And so it's kind of hard to kind of like have a passion for each class where I just want to finish everything to finish. Whereas over
Right.
at Knox, obviously we kind of have like a 3 to 3.5 class, option within our term. So I felt like I could invest myself within my courses and not necessarily do my stuff to do. So I also kind of find that transition harder because I'm like, okay, now I have to actually put myself within my work. But, it kind of pushed me to see where I wanted to go.
Okay, well, I mean, sounds like that you enjoy it. You're doing a good job. You like the experience there. And so, all righty. So this aspect of, again, wanted to first talk a little bit about just a little bit of the history, who we are, the numbers itself. So we talked a little bit about the smallness of it. The average class size at Knox is 14 students. So even if you feel like, uh, wow, that's a really, really small place, or 1,200 for some students, again, not you all at your schools, but for some students, that's a big place. I mean, we have students that go to high schools of 20 students. And so, or they're homeschooled students. So again, you're going to have that mix of perspectives and students from all over the place. But again, what's real? We want to talk about the real experiences, the real world experiences at Knox. So I'm going to go through a series of just 5 or 4 bullet points, and then the last one we'll cover is the grant itself. But research, internships, studying abroad, and immersion terms. No matter what you study at Knox, as an institution, we want you to be able to have this immersive and this active learning experience. Graduating from college, graduating from college in 2020 or 2021, when you graduate from high school or come to Knox in 2025, it's extremely competitive in the world, finding a job. So we want to make sure that you're marketable, that you had an internship or study abroad or did some research that was interesting to you. So this aspect of research and creative work, roughly 90%, so 90% of our students are doing research and creative work. And whatever you want to choose. I mean, some students are doing research on comic books. We had another student do research on knee cartilage, understanding different playing surfaces, why knees are more susceptible to tears versus if you're playing on hardwood or sand or gravel or turf. We had another student write an original play that was her research. So again, whatever you're passionate about. So again, this is the place where it feels smart. So if you're a smart student, you don't have to apologize by being smart. You don't have to say, ooh, I'm sorry that I'm answering too many questions. No, that's who we want. That's who you are. And so we want to make sure that we're receptive to who you are. So this aspect of internships and community service, roughly 70%, 70% of our students have an internship. So our interns are all over the place. We have students interning in different countries, right here in the United States. An internship is a good way for a person outside of Knox to share that you're strong, that you're capable, that you're dedicated, that you're interested and smart. And so, yes, you're going to have professors. Yes, you're going to have friends. Yes, you're going to have people on the Knox campus that will endorse who you are. But when you're going into a separate company and a VP or director of a department is saying, "Oh yes, we love Liz. She came to class every day. She was on. She came to work every day. She did everything we needed her to do." So this internship aspect is making our students more marketable. This last piece is studying abroad or studying off campus at Knox. Roughly 55% of our students study outside of Knox. Why is that important? It's important because everything is not just Galesburg, Illinois. Everything is not just the suburbs of Chicago. Everything is not just the United States. And so we want students to understand not only world perspectives, but understand how they are interchanged. And there's some synergy between what happens in Togo in the United States or in Nigeria or the state of Georgia or the country of Georgia. So all these things play well together. And I'll give you an example. But the first time I left the country, I was 29 years old. This was 8 years ago, so you can do the math, figure out how old I am. So I was 29 years old the first time I left the country. And if you're watching this, I'll actually take this the screen share off so I can see me a little bit bigger. So if you're watching this, you clearly see I am a person of color. You can see I'm a person of color. I'm African American. And so I've traveled back in 2013, 12, 13. It was the holiday break from New Year's Eve. And I traveled through Germany and I noticed some things that was interesting to me. People had noticed my passport and people were interested to chat with me. They saw American. So, and that's very different than what I experienced growing up in Southern Illinois and being in Central Illinois now. When people see me, they usually see a Black person. And I'm okay with that. I am Black. That's who I am. But when I was traveling through the Germany airport, people saw me as American, and that was different. It was kind of just eye-opening. I never felt like I had privilege, or never felt that and that's just how I grew up, and that was in my own mind, in my own head. But traveling abroad, having that experience, I was able to understand, like, whoa, I do have privilege. I'm an American. I'm a male. I'm college educated. You know, I grew up in a home that had indoor plumbing. I mean, just certain little things that sometimes we take for granted because we're here in the United States. But if you move to different countries and you're having this abroad experience, it really sheds some light. So again, I didn't have that experience in college, but I wish I would have, because I was a sociology minor. And I wish I would have had that experience to have those conversations in a classroom. So the biggest piece of that whole thing was just learning outside of the classroom. So the last 5 minutes, what do we want to chat about? I want to talk about how we're experiencing COVID-19, any changes that are happening within our curriculum. I'm going to talk about the application process and some scholarships. And so those are some of the things. Yes, Ms. Marquardt.
I just wanted to ask Liz, did you do study abroad?
No, I haven't had the chance. Obviously, with like COVID and all, obviously restrictions have been put up. But I have a couple of friends who have been, going forth on studying abroad. Especially, I have one that's going to Greece, and she's doing it obviously to immerse herself in the culture, but also kind of find her roots there because she's Greek as well. So she's putting herself as well as like her work in it. So
that's cool. And then I had another question.
Yes.
Job placement. Normally those stats are included in your school profile, but I'm guessing that that's really just gone to hell in a handbasket since COVID, right? With this graduating class of 2020.
Yeah, well, at this point, I mean, most of the stats that are coming out are usually a year behind anyway, when it comes to how we're reporting our statistics. And so for the most part, roughly 95% of our students typically respond back to the surveys by saying they're either employed or they're in grad school. And so that's still no different. We're still waiting on on data collection from that class. And that's usually a 6-month out survey. So that data we usually won't have until the next year. But for the class of 2019, sure, yeah, most of those students did report that they were in grad school or working. So that's typically 95% of our campus body. And so, but also you'll see on the slide here, you know, these again, this right hand column here.
Sorry, I jumped ahead on that.
No problem. I've got a whole slide deck of things that I can pull out and come through. That's the joy of virtual. I have everything that I need in one PowerPoint, and if you ask a question, I can pop it up. So you'll see 95%. This first section over here, I'll use my mouse. They say they felt prepared after leaving Knox. Well, that's huge. Like students, like it's not are they prepared? They felt prepared. So some students, they're prepared all day long, but they don't feel like it. I'm nervous, I'm worried. But some students, you know what? I feel like I can go conquer the world. That's why, again, internship, study abroad, research, we want to make sure students are marketable. So when they graduate, they feel like I can conquer the world. You'll see 83% actually said that they were pursuing meaningful work. I just ask people, really, like, do you feel like your job has meaning? When you go to work every day, do you feel like you're making a difference? Again, for our faculty or for our alumni, they say they do. They're in a profession, they're doing something that's meaningful to their life and to their work. And then you'll see that last slide, the last bullet, is just our alums give back. So again, we have alums that literally, they love their Knox experience. And guess what? We're not a utopia. We're not this perfect place. There are challenges, there are issues, there are problems, but we deal with things, we talk about things. Again, it's a progressive place. You'll see picket signs, you'll see protests, you'll see students that are speaking out. And that's, again, that's allowed on this type of campus because it is this place where you matter. This is not a place where we say, sit down, be quiet. No, you matter, your opinions matter. And that's what we want to recognize and promote you as a person. So I'm not sure if you have anything to add to that, Liz, or if you've had any experiences where your voice mattered and you were happy that someone asked you your opinion.
Well, I feel like that every day when I'm in class, since I'm in like the law track, I want to hopefully be a lawyer, which is, I guess, my meaningful aspiration after college. And I mean, I feel that every day within class, everyone, you know, isn't scared to speak up, especially when, you know, it's something that hits them close to home. So I find myself always getting questioned a lot, but in a good way where it actually makes me think. So.
I like that. All righty. Well, last but not least, again, because of COVID-19, we recognize that the SAT exam, the ACT exam, they're not being administered. Well, they are, but they're very, very difficult to take right now. So again, we've been test optional since 2006. So literally, this is the 15th year. We're the very first school in Illinois to be test optional. So that's who we are all day. And so we're reaffirming our mission when it comes to the optional aspect. It's up to you all, the students in the Grays Lake District. So again, you choose if you want to submit your scores, whether you have the scores or not. And so that's one. When it comes to the application process, we haven't had to alter much because you still have the ability to apply through the common application or coalition application. And our first deadline is November the 1st. We have early decision as well as early action. And so you decide when is the best time to apply for you. The last time to apply is January the 15th. So we still have lots of time to spend on the application process. And so when it comes to scholarships, they range from $0 to $34,000 per year. So we also have scholarships in writing, music, theater, and dance. And so if you're a dancer, if you're a writer, if you are interested in theater, you can submit portfolios or writing portfolio to submit to possibly receive some scholarship as well.
Okay.
So that's Knox kind of in a nutshell. Hopefully this didn't take up too much of your time watching. So thanks for just tuning in with us. And again, I'm DeVone and Liz, and thank you all for choosing us. We encourage you. We are open for visits. So we have visits that are open. So we're open Monday through Saturday by appointment only. So again, no drop-ins, by appointment. And also we have virtual visits as well. Yes.
2 questions. One, are your visits showing off the interior of the buildings? A couple other schools I've spoken to, they're only doing outside.
Oh, good question. Both, yes. So we're going inside and outside of buildings. We're not taking any students into residence halls, given the precaution for COVID-19. But yeah, we're definitely going inside buildings. So the campus tour, you'll sit down and have something similar to this, an information session with the admission counselor and a student, and then you'll go out on tour. And then if you'd like to meet with an admission counselor, you can do that as well.
Okay. Do you have a deadline for completing the FAFSA?
Depends on the deadline by which you apply. And so if you're applying by November the 1st, you'll have your FAFSA in by November the 1st. And so that's the deadline. So
it has to be completed. Okay.
Yeah.
So transcripts, letters of rec, application, FAFSA, all has to be in by November 1st.
Well, yes. Yeah, that's for your portion of it. I'll share my screen here one more time.
Okay.
Just so for the students, they can have a visual on here as well. And so you'll see the different dates to know. So you'll see early decision. If you apply by November the 1st, you're going to get your decision by November the 15th. But we want you to have your FAFSA completed by November the 1st. So you go down to early action. You'll see December 1st, regular decision, January 5th. So whenever the application deadline is, it's the same deadline for the FAFSA.
Okay. And then whenever you want to stop recording, then I have another question for you.
All right. Thank you all so much and enjoy the rest of your day.